Hello and welcome to our first ever episode in English from our podcast, Onderwegs te Heim, the travel podcast in Swiss German, and now as well in English with Larissa and Eric.
Yeah, why do we do a podcast in English?
Yeah, exactly. So some of you might already know that we have a podcast. Unfortunately for most of you in Swiss German, so you don't understand anything we're talking about. So as we have a lot of English-speaking friends, viele deutsche Freunde auch, y también mucha familia en Mexico, which asked us, hey, can you not do like subtitles or a podcast in English, or because you would like to join your travels. I think this is the deal we're doing now for this special episode. We're gonna tell you little stories we experienced in India in English for a special episode. It won't be every week, but just for once we're gonna start with this special episode so we can take you as well on our journeys from the last 2 months, more or less.
Yeah, and a little disclaimer, as you may know, English isn't our first language. It isn't even our second language. So we might make some speaking or pronunciation errors. I hope you still understand what we're trying to tell you. And yeah, fingers crossed that this works out.
Exactly, and I hope as well, we're going to put this podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I think on Spotify and on YouTube you can put in subtitles, maybe some even translate them to your language, so that's easier for you to hear us and read us in your own language.
Exactly.
That might be working for you as well. And what's special about this podcast, it's not only a podcast, it's a video podcast. So if you're only listening to us right now, I recommend you to open your Spotify app or switch to YouTube if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, because you can see us where we're sitting right now.
Our nice faces.
Exactly, we are in Nepal right now. This is the Manasulu, one of the 8,000 meter mountains in the world. So
one of the highest.
The highest, exactly. And as well, when we're gonna tell you some stories what happened to us in India, we're gonna put some videos and pictures over that, so you can not only hear what we experienced but also see what happened to us. And there are some
it's definitely worth it to tune in.
Quite funny stories to see there.
Exactly. Yeah, who are we? My name is Larissa. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Switzerland. I used to work as a lawyer, but I quit my job. We also quit our apartment that we had together. So we actually left everything behind, family and friends, and we decided to travel the world for 1 year. And as a little project along the way is our podcast that we're recording here right now, and you get to enjoy.
Exactly. So my name is Eric, turned 30. Meanwhile, I'm 30 years old. As well, I quit my job. I was working as an event manager in marketing, live communication, and joining my travel time with Larissa. So yeah, we have the podcast. We have as well our social media, of course, Instagram, where we post
regularly
daily updates, pictures, stories, travel tips.
Exactly. Yeah, it's onderwegs.deheim. We're probably gonna write it on top of the video podcast so you can see how it's written. And because it's in Swiss German, might be a little complicated.
Pictures, I think they don't have any language.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, where did we start our journeys?
So as you just said, we're just gonna talk about India in this episode, even though we are in Nepal right now. We started 9 weeks ago with our travels in India, in Mumbai. That was our first stop and our first Indian city that we got to experience. And what was your first impression of Mumbai?
It was crazy intense. I was really looking forward to India, especially to Mumbai as a big city. Arriving at the airport, feeling the warm air, the humidity, was just a really nice feeling, and it took me just a few hours to really get into the Indian experience.
And to realize where we are.
Yeah, to realize where we are. But I felt very comfortable from the beginning. For you?
Yeah, I like Mumbai a lot, and we were very fortunate that we got to spend time with Manan. Probably Manan is listening to this episode too.
Exactly, he's a supporter since day one, even though he doesn't
Yeah.
understand, or maybe he understands one or two German words, but
Exactly. He
That's
likes
it.
every reel and post. Really appreciate that. And yeah, he showed us around the city a little bit. The different parts of the city. There are two parts, the northern and southern part of Mumbai. They are very different from each other. The northern part is more rural, I'd say, and way more busy than the southern part, way more typical Indian, as you may picture it. And the southern part was way more touristy and also a little Western-like.
yeah, exactly. You still could see the influence of the Portuguese and the English colonies there, more in the south than in the north. Yeah, it's also a funny mix of the religions. Like there are Hindus, there are Muslims, there are Christs, and as well some Buddhists. So it's like a really funny mix, which changes from street to street. Yeah, and like one thing we experienced, which was really funny, was I think the Gateway of India, which
Absolutely.
is probably like the most known sightseeing spot in Mumbai. It's in the southern part of Mumbai in Kolaba, and there we got to meet a bunch of Indian people, or they got to meet us.
They got to meet us. We were the main tourist attraction, even though the Gateway of India would have been attraction enough, but they started to ask us if they could take pictures with us, and we were like, yeah, why not? And then I think we spent like half an hour taking picture with every person that asked us, and it got pretty tiring.
Yeah.
But it was also a funny experience, and we experienced that kind of popularity of our person in entire India.
Yeah, it happened all along the way. As soon as you stopped and agreed to take pictures with somebody, usually it started with like kids, because it's hard to like
Say
ignore
no.
them or say no to them, and then from there like it's kind of the dam broke and everybody started like sometimes they were filing up like in a line, and sometimes they didn't. It was just a big crowd of people like taking pictures and selfies from everywhere, which I think would happen to most of the not Indian-looking people going to India.
Exactly. And what I really liked about Mumbai was the food. I think we had the best food in Mumbai.
Yeah,
I think big part was also that Manan showed us very nice places where to eat, and he ordered like 10 different dishes that we could try. And I absolutely loved that. I don't remember like a day that I ate as much as I did in those days.
Yeah.
We were very full but very happy. And we're definitely going to show some videos and pics of us eating different kind of foods. And yeah, it was very nice.
yeah. From there, we took our first ever night train. We used to travel by night from city to city, which takes you between 8 to 12 to 14 hours by night bus or night train. The night train is usually the most comfortable way to travel, but also books up very fast. So the alternative is like the bus, the night bus with sleepers, which is also comfortable, a little bit more bumpy, but takes up the same amount of time more or less and costs more or less the same thing. So we went to Goa, which is pretty known.
state?
It's a state, exactly. It's not a city, as most of the people might think, or we did too. It's a music style as well, from the electronic genre. It's like the hard metal of or heavy metal of electronic music, I would
It's like,
say. Would say, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really known for the beaches, for the party, for some funny stuff you can take there as well, which we did not experience
of course
there.
not. We didn't even go out. We didn't feel like it at that time because we were still very tired and stressed from the time back home. Yeah, it took a lot of energy to organize everything, so we just really needed some time to ourselves and to relax. And the weather wasn't very good. We visited Goa in monsoon season.
End of monsoon season, but
End of
it
monsoon.
still catched up to us.
Yeah, it was very, very rainy, unfortunately, but the landscapes were very green, at least. But yeah, we just like went to a lot of restaurants and explored the surroundings a little bit on our scooter bike. It's a very common way to get around in Indian cities and towns. But yeah, I think I would definitely recommend go to Goa, but don't go during monsoon season.
Yeah, that's one thing. Then another thing, what sticks to your head the most, or like remember the most from Goa?
Oh yeah,
in
you're
the
right.
streets?
When we arrived, we saw a couple of cows on the streets, and we were like, "Oh, that's funny. It's probably just like a cow that broke out of its cage or something." But then we saw that there were tons of cows around, roaming the streets, eating trash, and I did some investigation. I asked a girl from a hostel and also some local people, and they told me that the cows who roam the streets are a big problem in Goa, because usually cows are vegetarian and they turn into, how do you say, meat eater?
Carnivores.
Carnivores,
Yeah.
exactly. And they just don't have an owner. They walk around all day on the streets, going through the trash. And the government even tried to put them back into the land where they belong to, and they stopped eating grass. They just wanted meat because they got used to the meat in the trash. And yeah, they are called stray cattle or stray cows, like stray dogs, stray cats. And that was a very weird thing for us to see. We've never experienced that. But yeah, in entire India, we saw a lot of more cows and goats and chicken just walking along the street with us. Just kind of became normal.
Exactly, Ellie. Usually, I think most of the countries, street dogs and street cats are nothing unusual, but here is like a street zoo where you can see any kind of animals going and running around, or which is really interesting to see, and the most intense in Goa.
Absolutely.
So from Goa, we moved further on after like a week being there to Hampi. And Hampi is basically known for the temples they have. It's a big temple place, so you say?
Yeah, it's like a spiritual place to go and visit temples.
Exactly, from the Hindus. But there's not only that, there's a really, really, really beautiful landscape there with stones, with palm trees, with rice fields. Just look up the videos we just put in. It's so amazing. It looked like a scene of Fred Flintstone, where you can live in the caves there and climb around the rocks. It's just big fun. Also had temples with monkeys there, like in every Asian country where there are temples, there are a lot of monkeys, probably because the people are there, and where people is food, and where food is there's monkeys. So but we had some bad experience with monkeys, so we
not in India, in
not
other
in India
countries.
so far, but so we like to experience or watch them
from far away.
from far away, or a little further away than we used to a few years ago. So.
Exactly. And I really liked Hampi. We also rented a scooter bike and drove along the long streets to different cities and towns, and it was just such a calm place compared to Mumbai. And also Goa got really busy because there was a Hindu festival and there were a lot of Indian tourists, and it was really a calm and relaxing place. We lived in a little hut. It was more or less how do you say?
Straw hut?
Yeah, like that. And
out of palm
leaves,
bamboo sticks, and it's really nice.
Kind of a lot, and it was just so nice,
relaxing, and you could really recommend. It's I think one of my favorite places we've been to in India.
Absolutely, and the weather was amazing around that time. Very blue sky, very hot.
Yeah, nice streets to go for a run, for example, as well, which is kind of hard in India when you're in the cities, because with the traffic, the pedestrians don't have a big value here.
Nope. If you don't want to get hit by a car, don't go running in a city.
Exactly. So from there, we took, what was it, a night bus?
I think it was a bus, yeah.
Oh, no, it was a train.
Was it?
It was a train.
Okay.
It was a night train. We took down to Aleppi or Alappuzha.
Bangalore first.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You missed Bangalore.
I missed Bangalore, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to tell you a lot about Bangalore. It was just another crazy, crowded, busy Indian city. We didn't like it that much because the people were way less friendly than what we experienced before.
In any other city
In
or
any other
village.
city, yeah. And what I really liked was there were a lot of hipster coffees. So yeah, we got to eat nice Western food. But other than that, I would just skip that city.
Yeah, so that's why I forget it. I forgot about it to tell you.
Yeah, well, there is one thing that we experienced in Bangalore that you really, really liked, and that was the cinema.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We went to the cinema and watched a movie called Jawan. Jawan means soldier, and the main actor is Shah Rukh Khan. He's one of the most famous Indian actors, I think. And yeah, what did you think about that experience?
It was just really fun. We really wanted to have that experience to watch. We thought like a classic Bollywood movie in India. We ended up going to the cinema, and this was the only movie which had English subtitles. So we thought that we at least understand some parts of the movie. We're gonna watch this one. It turned out to be like kind of a action, I'm gonna save the world movie, which had parts of Money Heist in, kind of Fast and the Furious
Ocean's
style,
11.
Ocean 11, but as well like proper Bollywood dancing scenes in between, like fighting scenes, which was so absurd. Kind of love comedy was included as well. The movie was like 2.5 hours.
Super long.
Super long, super loud in the cinema.
We had to wear earplugs.
Yeah, exactly. But just overall a perfect experience. I think a perfect crossover from the Bollywood movie scene, Indian movie scene.
Yeah. We're probably gonna put the link of the movie trailer in the description. So if you'd like to, you can click on it and watch it. And the music was, in my opinion, surprisingly very good.
Yeah.
It was very catching, and we even listened to the playlist on Spotify. So we're probably gonna put the link in the description of the Spotify as well. And yeah, that was really a great experience.
Exactly. So the movie we saw when or at the beginning, it said like it's a Netflix production, probably Netflix India, but it should like appear in the next few months on Netflix. So if you have like a VPN or an Indian account or access to that, or it shows up in your algorithm library or something, it's a recommendation to watch, and
Absolutely.
it's really entertaining.
Yep, definitely. Well, as you just said, we continue to go to Alappuzha or Alleppey. Usually the cities and places have 2, 3 or 4 names. Like Bangalore is also Bengaluru and Alappuzha is Alleppey. So yeah, you always have to Google if you're going to the correct place. And I really, really liked Alappuzha. Alappuzha is located in the state of Kerala, and it's famous for its backwaters. Backwaters means like there's little rivers behind the town. And it was a very special day when we arrived because it was your 30th birthday. And I really wanted to organize something special, like a little boat ride in the backwaters at sunset, a little romantic, but unfortunately I turned sick. My stomach was very upset and I got a little fever, so I was in bed for the next 2 or 3 days. But you still enjoy your birthday because you like fulfilled yourself a little dream.
Yeah, like, it's not a big dream, but I always wanted to ride a motorcycle. Never really did that. I just had like the small scooter bikes. I have one on my own in Switzerland. But I even learned it with a friend of mine to like shift gear and everything. So it's kind of harder than just driving a normal scooter bike. And so for that and the following days, I rented myself a bike and just drove around the backwaters up to Kochi. It's like 50 kilometers in north, really nice beaches. Yeah, it's really cool.
It was hard for my FOMO in bed. You just sent me pictures and I was like, okay, I would like to be there. But as soon as I got up, I was like, nope, back to bed. But yeah. I'm very happy that you still enjoyed your day by yourself.
Yeah, it was even though it was a lonely birthday, it's a nice birthday and I enjoyed it really much as well. Just for the orientation, maybe you saw it on the map, Kerala or Alleppey is like on the southwest coast
exactly.
of India.
Is it the most southern point that we went to, I'd say, right?
Yeah, it's the most southern point we went to. You can even go further down, like always to Sri Lanka, to the tip of India. But from there, after I think a week, we extended a few days more. So Larissa could, after 3 days in bed, also experience.
Yeah. And the weather was so because it was still monsoon season down south. Some days we had really good weather and some days it was very rainy. But yeah, it was okay.
Yeah. Then after like a week, we changed the coast from the west coast to the east coast, à la ville de Pondichéry.
Pondichéry. Why France?
Pourquoi français maintenant?
Well, just before I come to like, why did Eric just say that in French? You may know that a big part of India was under the British influence back in the days, and Goa that we just talked about was under Portuguese. So there were a lot of Portuguese street names, a lot of Portuguese and Latin architecture that we also got to enjoy a lot. And on the east coast, as Eric just mentioned, was the French colony. And the Indians and the Frenchies got along very well, apparently. So they are still very, very proud. Of their French influence. Some Indian people, even to this day, still speak proper French to each other. And that was something that we got to see in a restaurant where an Indian couple of about 65-ish years was talking proper French. And we were like, wow, that's just crazy. And even when we arrived in Pondicherry, a guy said bonjour. And I was like, why is he greeting us in French? Do we look French? And yeah, then we found out.
Yeah, it's really funny. Part of that, there's Auroville, but this, I think we will not like tell you much about Auroville. It's just a remote village with a kind of a special society, but I think, yeah, we'll skip that part as we didn't really get into that. But if you have heard of it, that's the place to go, Pondicherry, and from there it's like 30-minute drive to Auroville.
Exactly. Yeah, after Pondicherry, we went to Chennai. We cannot tell you much about Chennai because we spent our 3 to 4 days in a very nice hotel with a rooftop infinity pool. It was my birthday present to Eric. And yeah, it was really nice after a couple of weeks of experiencing the busy India to just relax and sunbathe and just chill.
Exactly. So, but what we can say is probably if you have been to other Indian cities, you might skip Chennai as it didn't appear really special or really different to other Indian cities.
Yeah, I definitely go to Mumbai rather than Chennai.
Yeah,
probably.
Mumbai is bigger, but you have like more variety as well from the food, at least where Manan brought us.
Mm-hmm.
So after Chennai, we experienced our longest journey ever, I think. We took the train from Chennai, which is like located in the, like we said, east-southern coast, not south-south, but southern, up to Jaipur, which is pretty much in the northern part of India. Mm-hmm. It took us 38 hours.
Yeah, first, when I embarked in the train, I was a little afraid to like be in a train for that long or get a little anxious, but as soon as we got settled in and we were able to watch our Netflix series, eat some food, sleep, the time actually passed by very, very fast.
Yeah, we had also had a family with us in the dorm, or like in the berth, it's called. The trains have like 2 and 2 beds, and there was an Indian family which was in us with the train, which is really nice, with a little kid. So we had a nice talk with them.
It wasn't always very nice because the kid was very loud, very cute, but very loud. Understandably, if a kid has to travel for 40 hours in a train. But yeah. we got some entertainment like that.
Exactly. The funny thing is the reason why they were in the train is because they wanted to go to a special temple in Jaipur to shave the baby's head. It was like 11 months old.
Almost 1 year.
Yeah, not 1 year old. That was the
Exactly.
point. Because in India you need to shave, or at least as a Hindu, you need to shave your baby's head within the first year of their born. It's kind of a traditional thing in India, religious. I think in Mexico it's as well. It's not religious. It happened to me as well when I was a baby. I think just to get the baby strong, proper hair. That's at least what my mother told me and my sister why it happened to us.
Well, it worked. Look at your beautiful hair.
Yeah, so that was the reason. And we saw it many, many times. But then we knew why there were like 1 year old skinheads walking around.
Yeah, and apart from that, the babies also wore a lot of makeup. And we also asked ourselves what the meaning behind that might be. And we found out that they have this garment, I don't know if it's the same in English.
Eyeliner
it's like
stuff.
the eyeliner, but not the dry eyeliner. And they just circle their baby's eyes like a raccoon. And apparently it's supposed to protect them from bad ghosts, from demons and stuff like that. So that's why they wear makeup and don't have hair. So it's very interesting picture of a child for us to see. We're not used to that at all.
Yeah. So after 38 hours, we finally arrived in the morning in Jaipur. The city you might already have known from Instagram, because if you take like a picture in your Instagram story, swipe like 6-7 times to the right, you might find Jaipur as a filter, which is like a kind of orange, pinkish yellow color filter, which is a really good description for the city's sunset and sunrises, as you already have seen, and we'll show you again.
Yeah, and Jaipur is also called the Pink City because the city appears in a pinkish orange color. And I think also because of that, probably Instagram took it as an inspiration to create that filter. And I really, really liked Jaipur. It had that North African style in the buildings, and it really looked like Morocco. And yeah, I liked it a lot. What about you?
I thought it was nice. It was the most touristic city we've been to, even though we went to Agra as well afterwards, where the Taj Mahal is. Like you could just tell that the people, like Indian people, are used to tourists. You were not, I don't need that, but you were not that special as a tourist there. And it was a different way to interact with people.
They try to sell you a lot of stuff.
Exactly. It's just, the Indian people are really business men and
orientated.
women. Business orientated, exactly. And so you could really feel that in Jaipur. But overall, it's a nice city. It's, if you're in the area, you should definitely go. It's not like a huge city. It's not like Mumbai or Bangalore. It doesn't have like that many skyscrapers, not even some, I think we saw. But it's like a really big area, the city. It's really a flat city, if that's the term you could describe it.
Yeah, what is very special in Jaipur is that there are a lot of forts, and I'm really into forts and into history. And
Forts, not farts, is that right?
I like forts, not that much farts though. It was really nice to have an overlook over the city from every different fort that we visited. And it was very hot, very dry. And yeah, we did a city tour with a guy we met at the train station, and he drove us around in his tuk-tuk. And he also drove us to different stores where they tried to sell us stuff. And yeah, we don't have the opportunity to buy local stuff, even though we sometimes like to, because we are very limited with our backpacks and our space that we have. So sometimes it's really hard to say no, because they're just trying to do business and they want to earn money, especially after the last years where it was a little hard to earn some money. They really try to sell you stuff that is very understandable.
Exactly. You ended up buying one item.
Oh, yes.
Which you really liked, and it's I think a perfect size to carry around.
Yeah, it's a little blue sapphire, because we also met, or we just actually just met by coincidence with an Indian man, and he took us to his home. He showed us around, and we were there for a couple of hours, and he started to read my hands or my palms. And I've never done that before, but I like that kind of stuff. You're a little bit more skeptic around those like spiritual stuff. But then he told me that I need to buy a blue sapphire to release my heart chakra or something like that. And I was like, sure, I'm gonna do that. So I did it. And I think now I'm the happiest person ever. What do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy to change. I was so bad before. No, it's just like a nice souvenir, and it wasn't that expensive, and I like it a lot.
Yeah. So, but it was an intense city again. So we thought, hey, let's get out of the city. I've been to so many cities, like the Indian hectic. We need to go to a different place. And then Domi, a very good friend of yours, recommended us to go to
Manali.
Manali,
We always
exactly.
try to say Manila, but it's Manali, different place.
Exactly, it's like 8 hours up north with the bus, and then again 6 hours by car.
6 to 7 hours at
6
least.
to 7 hours by car. We rented a Jeep, which is really nice, and it's located in the Indian Himalaya. So the Himalaya is not only Nepal, like right here. It's like all the mountains where the Mount Everest is, and the 14 highest peaks of the world, starting I think in Pakistan, going through India, Nepal, Tibet, China, Bhutan. So it's a really big chain of mountains, the Himalaya. And so we ended up in the Indian Himalaya.
What did you like the best in Manali?
I like the scenery, which is really nice, which was a great experience, but kind of similar to Switzerland, but as well very different. And the most fun experience I had there was probably my quick swim in the glacier river. I think it was like 3 to 5 degrees. It was freezing cold, like I had the brain freeze after 3 seconds underwater with my head, but was really refreshing and a nice fun experience to take a swim on 3,000 meters in the over the ocean.
Yeah, crazy you.
For you, what did you like the most?
I really liked the nature, and also to see how the nature and the trees and bushes change with the altitude. And my favorite time of the year back home in Switzerland is fall season, where the leaves start to change, called the Indian summer. And we experienced that Indian summer up in Manali. The trees had like different shades of yellowish, green and red, and yeah, the weather was perfect. And what I also really liked was when we drove up to Rohtang Pass. It's the pass, which one is, I think, the highest pass in whole India on 4,000 meters. Is it like 13,000 feet something? Or am I completely wrong?
I think 13,000 or something. It's quite about right, yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
4,000 meters, but
Yeah, and it was very cold, very windy, and just a different experience for us to be so high up. Yeah, at that point, it was the highest point that we ever got to. Like, it changed a little in Nepal, but we're probably gonna talk about that in another video.
yeah. So it was really nice. We can really recommend to go there. It's a low budget Switzerland, Swiss mountains up there, because yeah, it's Indian prices and
Great food, great restaurants.
yeah, exactly. What was kind of hard to see, or like felt really bad, was that there were floods from the monsoon this summer, where like it flooded away some of the streets, which were like in really bad condition. You could just see how steep it was. You could, yeah, the damage was huge, and you could feel like really bad for the people there, because they had proper streets, and then one flood came, they have to build it again, and somebody, maybe like in a year or two, they might be in the next flood.
And there were also a lot of very busy workers in Manali. It didn't matter what age or what gender they had. It seemed that they worked the entire day out in the fields, out in the streets. They carried very heavy loads of things on their back, on their head. And yeah, I thought that was very inspiring to see.
Yeah, it was different. Like in the southern part, you could basically only see like men working, especially in construction, which was not at all the case
Not at all.
in the northern part.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, after 3-4 days in Manali, we brought our Jeep back to the renting place. We got it all washed and cleaned, got it back, and took a night train to Agra. Agra, the city which is known for the Taj Mahal, the Temple of Love, it's also known for. So that's basically one thing to do, or two, like the fort as well, the Red Fort in Agra, which you can visit. Unfortunately, we did not visit Taj Mahal due to some organizational error.
Well, yeah, we visited it from the outside. We didn't go in, not because we didn't want to, because it was closed. It's always closed on Fridays for Muslim prayers. Unfortunately, we didn't know that. But yeah, it was still very pretty from the outside, even though I was a little sad or even pissed. The next day we went to look at the other side of the Taj Mahal that we haven't seen yet. It was inside of a park. And unfortunately, the day was very, very smoggy. So we could like only see the outlines of the Taj Mahal. It was still very like pretty and also a little mystic. But other than that, yeah, I was a little sad that we didn't get to experience the full Taj Mahal experience. But other than that, the city wasn't that great. There were some nice restaurants, but other than that, I mean, I would recommend to go and visit Taj Mahal if you like buildings and architecture. But if you only have a couple of days in India, I'd rather go to other places.
Exactly. The fun thing is that it was like a kind of a king or some...
A Mughal emperor.
Mughal, exactly. Who built that palace for his wife, which is not that special. But his wife was dead at this point where he started building it as a grave or as a mausoleum.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and the funny thing is as well, it was not his only wife, but it was his only wife who gave him a...
Who gave birth to a male successor.
Exactly. So
it was his favorite wife. And the other wives, I don't know where they got buried. Not in the Taj Mahal.
Yeah. So much to that Temple of Love.
Yep. And it was also our 14th anniversary, so that was kind of fun to spend the day in front of the Temple of Love. Yeah.
From there, we took our last bus, to our last destination in India in our 7th week, which was the city Varanasi. Varanasi, a very spiritual and also known city for its river Ganges, the most known Indian river, and I think one of the most known international rivers as well, because this river is considered holy to Hindu people, but also to the Buddhist people. I would say Varanasi was just like the perfect mix, or like the maximum mix of India you could get in within one city. It was loud, it was crowded, it was nice food, but the streets were sometimes smelly as well.
Super smelly.
A lot of temples, a lot of religion, super crowded. I think I already said that one. Tuk-tuks everywhere.
Rickshaws as well.
Rickshaws, cows, donkeys,
goats, cats, dogs.
Chickens, everything just like mixed up. And one thing which was different from the other city was dead people. Easy said.
It's also called the City of Death.
Exactly. So, and it sounds more scary than it is, like the City of Death, because the Indian or Hindu people have a really, or Buddhists I think as well, have a really interesting way to approach death. Because in their thinking, death is not the end. It's just another station in your circle of life. Or if you're as lucky as the people we saw there, or the dead people we saw there, you get to escape the circle of life and transfer to nirvana. And to do that, you need to get burned
cremated
in the city of death, Varanasi, by the river Ganges.
Yeah, and there's a special ritual that they do, and it's very, very public. So you're allowed to watch the entire process, and you're also allowed to take pictures. They want you to take pictures and videos, but you always have to respect the dead people so that you don't take pictures of their faces, because sometimes you get to see their faces before they get cremated. And that's also why we're gonna show you some pictures. If you cannot handle those kinds of topics, it's a little trigger warning. Just skip these in like 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ritual that they do. The process. First, the dead body is inside of linen sheets, and then they go and dunk the body in.
I'm gonna step in just like the step before.
Is there another step before?
Yeah, exactly. So the relatives like carry the bodies through the whole city.
Oh yeah.
Between the whole traffic, like the cows, the rickshaws, the people walking there, singing along, carrying the people to the Ganges and the cremation ghat.
Area. Okay.
Exactly. So there, like the thing that happens before that.
Exactly. Yeah. Then they dunk the person, I don't know how many times you remember, in the Ganges River.
They
on
kind
the
of wash them. They wash them, yeah.
Yeah, and after they are soaked in Ganges water, they put them on top of a stack of wood, and it's also a metal construction. It's kind of a grill-ish. It sounds really bad to say that, but it kind of looked like it. They put them on top. And then I think you have to explain a little bit more, because you talked to a guy there.
Exactly. So then the relatives walk 5 times around the that person who died, and this is for the 5 elements. I mean, we know the 4th, like earth, water, wind, fire, and the 5th element as well, as in the Buddhism. I think it's like that. It's the spirit. So they walk 5 times around him or the person who is there, and then I think it's sometimes the sun. There's a certain rule who ignites the fire, and the fire is ignited by the fire of Shiva, which is 3,000 years old. So you go to this fire, you put, I think, straw it is on fire. Hay, sorry. You put on fire and then walk to the person, you ignite it, and sometimes, we saw that as well, they put on some butter on the people, and we ask like, why is this? It's like the last offering or something, because this person really liked butter or so. It's like, nope, this is just that the body burns
faster
and better, easier. So after, I think, 2-3 hours, most of the body is burned. And so they sometimes put in the ashes into the Ganges, and as well like the remaining bones into the river. These cremations happen up to 40,000 times a year, so it's 100+ per day. So you could imagine what is in this water and what you should do and what you should not do.
Yeah, and we saw people taking a bath, brushing their teeth, diving, and yeah, it's also known as not the holiest, also the dirtiest river on earth. And that's probably why. And yeah, we didn't even touch the water with our little toe.
Yeah, so it's...
But other than that, for me, it was also very inspiring to see how another culture handles death and deals with death, because they weren't crying, they were happy for their person that just died, because, as you just said, they were finally able to break free of the circle of life and go to nirvana. And that was kind of nice, but it was also strange for us to see that the crematorium is so public, and there were also tourists just lining up there and just staring at the people. And even the family members sometimes took selfies before the person was cremated. And yeah, that way of dealing with death, and it was inspiring, but also scary and strange at the same time to sum it up like that.
But if you go to India, I think it's a must-see too, because it's a perfect mix of all the craziness you see in India, mixed with good food.
The food was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I think we're gonna take you to Nepal with our last ride we had. From there we took a taxi to the border of Nepal. So Nauli, we crossed the border, and after some administration we ended up in Nepal, which we are right now here. So that's the end of our 7 weeks in India. I think we're gonna wrap it up with some interesting facts as well. Like one is probably the costs. If you would like to go to India at one point, we excluded the flight because this is very different from the season or the place you're flying to India. So we spend like $1,900 US, I would say, and within 7 weeks per person. Important point. So you can say like 1 month in India costs you about $1,000. The visa is like $50. And we ate like 3 times a day. We took
very good meals.
Yeah, very good meals, several transportations. We almost had every night a double room.
A private room.
A private room, exactly. If you go alone, you might take like dorms. So you probably have the average at the same price. Just to let you know and give you an idea of what you can do with your money in India and what it's worth there, or how much you need to budget and to save before coming to India. You can even travel cheaper.
Absolutely.
But you can even make it more expensive with more guides, with better hotels,
accommodations. And stuff. Yeah, but overall, I would really recommend to go to India. I mean, the food is a very big part for me because it was just absolutely delicious. But also the culture and the people are very nice, very friendly, and there are so many different landscapes, and also in every region a different culture and traditions that they have. And we learned a lot in those last weeks, and yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was very nice. Yeah, to get back to the food as well, I had like top two countries with the food. One was the Thai food, and for me, number 1 was the Mexican food. But now we have a third contender, which is the Indian food. From the spices, like the classic Indian curries you might know, which is the northern food, at Punjabi curries, which is eaten with rice or chapati or any kind of flatbread or naan, exactly. But there's as well the southern kitchen, which reminded me a lot of the Mexican and some parts as well of the Thai food, because it has a lot of spiciness. The three counts in common, has a lot of cilantro, onion, lime, garlic. Did I miss something?
I think just chili, but you said
chili,
spice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this mix, like some pineapples as well, sometimes, like the sweetness, which combined these 3 countries, and especially the Mexican and Indian food, very much. And as well, in general, I would say like India has a lot in common with Mexico. One part of food, like as well the transportation, the people, how they are kind of open with each other, as well how they look. I mean, a lot of Indian people look like Mexican people, and now when I've been to India, I can say a lot of Mexican people could be considered Indian.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I was asked as well if I'm maybe Indian.
You even look more Nepali.
Exactly.
Though you've been asked here a lot of times if you're Nepali, but the Indian people, I mean, it's a huge country. It's like a subcontinent. They look so different in each place. Like the southern Indian to the northern, it's like a different how do you say ethnicity?
Let's see if...
ethnicity. I think
exactly.
Now I got it out. Lord.
Yeah. So as well, the streets remind me a lot of Mexico. So I'm really looking forward to come to Mexico, because familia, vamos a venir a México en abril. En mayo, y los vamos a visitar ahí.
¿Con mis padres?
Con sus padres. Así que estamos
¿Tenemos mucha ilusión?
Ilusión para venir a México. Así es. So now back to English. And I think to wrap it up with a quick travel hack, because what we always do after or at the end of our podcast in Swiss German, we drop 2 travel hacks weekly. So we're not going to drop all 14 of them right now, but just Larissa, which one was your favorite travel hack so far, which you would like to give you to our English speaking or listening audience?
To bring a good and proper power bank, because sometimes as we were 40 hours in a public transportation, and you can usually charge your phone and other devices on trains and buses, but sometimes they just don't work. So just bring a good power bank. I think ours has 40 milliamperes.
20 milliamperes.
Oh, is it 20?
Which ends up to load your phone
4 to 5 times, like that.
Exactly.
And yeah, we can also put the link in the description if you'd like to know which one it is. It's not that heavy, it's not that big. I think it's just perfect also to put it in a purse and to bring it along. Because if you take pictures and videos the entire day, your battery just dies at some point.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you?
My travel hack would be more analog, I would say, not so digital. We got it sent from a colleague of us via Instagram, so it was not our idea, just to be clear with that. But it's to put on balloons on your liquids. So if you have like a shampoo or a sunscreen or something that could leak, just cut a balloon in half and put it over your bottle. It wraps up really tight and won't let the bottle to open under pressure, or if that would happen, it would be still covered with
a balloon.
With a balloon. So really nice and cheap hack to save some dirty mess in your travel. What's the name, English word for nécessaire? Toilet bag. In your toilet bag.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add a quick one as well. That is in relation with yours. It's to bring shampoo and conditioner bars, not liquids. It's way easier to carry them around. They're not that heavy, they don't leak, and you can use them way longer than you can use liquid shampoo. So it's just my travel hack for my hair, and I usually buy the stuff at Lush, and I can really recommend that.
Good, so let's wrap it up. We're gonna spend this afternoon here in this beautiful valley in Nepal, in Bandipur.
Hope we find some food somewhere.
Exactly, it's like noon, like the sun is hitting pretty hard, or even starting to be afternoon right now. I hope you really liked it. Give us some feedback how it was for you to hear us in English, to if it helped you, if it was too hard, whatever.
Yeah, text us on Instagram, WhatsApp, or leave a comment on YouTube. We'd really like to hear from you.
Even though on Spotify, I think you can put on comments right now, and we'll see how it turns out, this episode, and maybe at some point we might do another episode in English to give you an update from our travels.
Yeah, and I hope our English was bearable for you. We did our best.
So enjoy the week, the afternoon, whatever you're doing, the work, the drive, and have a good day.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye.